Someday this journey will be remembered as our
legacy west.
Along the Mormon Trail between Martin's Cove and Rock Creek, again we walk on hallowed ground. It was in this 100-mile length of trail that the Martin and Willie handcart companies were caught in the storm. Within this length, many would die and be buried. Within this length, the rescue parties from the Salt Lake Valley would come as temporal saviors, carrying desperately needed supplies for the starving, freezing handcart pioneers. As the members of the reenactment train travel this historic section, passing such locations as Sweetwater Station, near the site of the Willie Company rescue, Silver Creek Reservoir, near the top of Rocky Ridge, Rock Creek, where 15 members of the Willie Handcart Company were buried, and over the Continental Divide to Pacific Springs, they carried within their hearts and minds the sacred history of those who went before them 150 years ago.
I have in here in my hand divining reins. I can tell exactly where the Mormon Trail is by these reins. See, when these reins point down, we are on the Mormon Trail right there. See that? They point straight down. That means we're on the Mormon Trail. And those big markers back here verify that I'm telling the truth. They verify that these things do not fail, that they work.
In the Old West, wagon trains depended heavily upon their outriders. Trail-wise and free to move about on their horses, the outriders served to blaze trails, protect the wagons, and troubleshoot. Free-spirited and watching the wagon teams from a roving perspective, they were the guardians and guides of the train. Today, the outriders play much the same role.
Making sure that the teamster stays awake, kind of checking to see if there's anything going wrong, name it, it could go wrong.
Trying to locate a home for this. Do you need it?
Just keep your eyes open, you know, keep them open and watch for things. You just kind of look around.
But what really helps is if you're on the trail and you have a little breakdown, say a line gets caught or a snap gets broke or something, the outriders are literally invaluable. And these particular outriders have been very good.
Here we go. You are now a true Mormon pioneer girl for the rest of your life.
Oh no.
There you go.
Give me my Wranglers.
My pre-outrider days, I was an FBI agent, and you know, you can have stress. When you talk about a life or death situation, that's stress. Arresting cocaine dealers, that can be stressful. Knowing there's a possibility that it's him or me. So, but no, this is a joy. This is relaxing and nice. Look at this. Isn't this beautiful?
You're kind of the Pony Express.
Yeah, you're the messengers from the front to the back. It's kind of just...
Which I like a lot. You meet a lot more people that way. If you're in a wagon, you're limited.
Unless the wind's blowing or it's raining, then you wish you were in a wagon.
Well, most people don't believe I'm 81. I've had to pull out my driver's license to verify it, but to more or less substantiate my claim that I felt like I could make the trip, I photographed my current pilot physical and sent that along with it, and apparently that did the trick. So I got, a reasonable length of time, I got confirmation that I was accepted to ride the trail and go all the way.
Want to make sure I know my way back.
Yeah, we've had everything from a horse getting his head stuck under a trailer at 5 in the morning. They woke me up to tell me there was a horse with his head caught under a trailer. And we've had horses run off into a grader, stock crossing type grader, and get their legs hung up in that.
Well, I just feel like those ancestors are watching what we're doing, and you can feel them kind of close to you. And I'm not sure sometimes whether they're saying, we're glad you're doing this, or whether they're saying, you don't have to do this and you're really stupid.
I've been on a lot of rides, trail rides and wagon trains over the last 20 years, but this is the most rewarding event I've ever been on. These are people with a very strong religious conviction, and they're good people, and I've made some lifelong friends, I believe.
James Fairborn, in the spirit of true pioneering, has challenged the rivers across the trail. Even after a long day's travel, he and his horse have sometimes preferred to brave the currents rather than cross the bridges.
Just keep going. Go, bud. Let's go. And he snorts some more. Go, bud. He just keeps on going, man. There's a rush.
What a ride.
Those pioneers were tough folks, Mike.
Congratulations.
They deserve every bit of our respect.
You ready to do it again, James?
Maybe Monday, okay?
How about the current?
Let have it.
When the wagon train approached the area near Rocky Ridge, James Fairborn, one of the company's outriders, traded his horse for a handcart. Having ancestors who crossed with the Willie Handcart Company, James was interested in literally walking in their footsteps.
This is a section of the trail I wanted to experience the way they did. They were with me today, and they told me not to look on this place with sorrow, but to look on this place with joy. Joy for that we should have for their faith in the risen Savior, and their faith in prophet of God who had instructed them to come out here and come out and join the saints in Zion in the valley of the Great Salt Lake. And they came out here to bring the gospel to their posterity and to bless us. And boy, bless us they did. Bless us they did. I'm just thankful for them. Every day is an adventure. Every moment is just something to just eat right up with a spoon. I just love it here. And I'm thankful that I got to come. And I'm thankful that I felt their spirits here when I was with them today.
Go, buddy. Go, buddy. Go, buddy.
This area is known as Rocky Ridge. From the handcart campsites at the base of these hills, the ascent to the top rise is some 700 feet in less than a mile. The summit, at approximately 7,500 feet, is covered with large, jagged rocks that took their toll on wagons, handcarts, and feet. In the Willie Handcart Company, which was already weak from their terrible struggles prior to this point, many would perish and be buried the next morning.
My grandfather came across the plains, buried his wife and his brother along the way, carried a baby all the way to the Salt Lake Valley from out in this area. It has a very personal interest for me, but in a larger sense, it's a thing of tremendous significance. It was the crucible through which the church passed.
After crossing Rocky Ridge, the struggling Willie Handcart Company made its way to Rock Creek, some 15 miles away. Despite the assistance of rescue crews and the addition of much-needed food and clothing, 13 died along the day's journey. Death, being no respecter of persons, took both young and old alike. The ground being frozen, a shallow common grave was dug. The following people were laid to rest that cold morning. William James, 46. Elizabeth Bailey, 52. James Kirkwood, 11. Samuel Gadd, 10. Lars
When we've been through here, when it's been quiet, you can feel that spirit. And it's a very perceptible thing. People were buried, of course, all the way from winter quarters here, along the trail. Those graves will never be known. But that trail was marked with the graves of our people. Some 6,000 of them.
As the handcart company worked its way toward the summit of Rocky Ridge, a simple behind-the-scenes exercise was taking place. Unbeknownst to many within the company, 13 persons were secretly notified that they, or someone within their family, was to symbolically represent one of the 13 who died on this rugged hill in the storms of October 1856. For those who willingly participated, the imaginary passing of a family member gave birth to a perspective and dimension perhaps purposely left unconsidered in their reenactment experience.
I was William James, who was the man who owned the shotgun on the Willie Handcart Company. And it touched me because he was a father with a family, and he simply gave up. And he laid down and he couldn't get up. And I thought to myself, what was going through his mind when he couldn't get up anymore, knowing that his family was ahead of him and that he wasn't going to be able to help them reach Zion.
Nance Adams has walked the entire distance with her 4-year-old daughter, Jackie. Reluctantly, she allowed herself to sense the pain of the passing of one so dear.
It's funny, I asked to feel the spirit of the trail, Kevin. And then they hand me a slip of paper saying she's dead. So now I get to really feel the spirit of the trail, and it stinks. I really can't bear the thought of the wolves going back and get her right now. I don't know how they did it. 13 people. 13 of our handcart company right now, we can think about our dying. And when they pick Jackie, it's like, just take me, I don't want Jackie to go. That's when it's really hard. Then it becomes real.
That's one aspect of this whole trek that we haven't really gotten too deep into, and that's what happens if the fellow that you've been traveling with, pushing a cart for the last 2 or 3 weeks, all of a sudden is no longer with you. What effect would that have on you? And that would be a devastating thought.
It was quite a sobering thought. You've traveled all this way, the people you love, the people you're with, and the thought that suddenly you're not going to be there anymore is quite something.
What? Not him. You can't take him away. He's the guy that's making this even more enjoyable as a parent, watching this whole experience take place. And then it kind of hits you. You think, well, you know, it's not really selective. You can't really say, well, let's save this one and let's not take this one. But, you know, just it really hits you as a parent to be able to say that those that are so precious to you. I mean, all of them are precious, but, you know, in particular on the trek, this one, the middle child, he just having a ball. He's the one that says, I want to go all the way to Salt Lake Valley.
I just forgot that I was dead and just had fun pulling the handcart and stuff.
It affected me more as we sat down. I didn't know Chad had the number. When we sat down, he explained it all to us. That it wasn't just a name on a plaque. It was a child that a mother had brought into the world. You know, as I watched my other children cry at the thought of having to leave little Sophie at Rock Creek and having to bury her there and go to Zion without her, because you couldn't stay there even for a day. You couldn't stay there and cry.
I feel it's great, but I don't think I'd ever want to walk that far again. I'm kind of getting tired of it and sick and want to go home. If I don't make it, I'll feel very ashamed. I'm very disappointed in myself that they could do it and I couldn't.
Oh dear, my goodness knows how they did it, especially in the snow. I don't know how they did it. Wonderful people. Many of them my countrymen. I feel it's a privilege to represent that.
I was overjoyed and thrilled to be honored to represent one of those people. He said he wanted me to be one of the people that wouldn't make it. And that was scary as I contemplated that, thinking about my family and my children having to go on without me. I love my children and my husband, and they are my life. And I can't imagine my children being left here to, to fight these rocky ridges that they'll have in their lives. And so that was hard, but I was deeply honored to represent one of those people that gave their all.
And I'm sure that there were many that said on the trail that, please don't take them, take me. I'll gladly give my life rather than you take this person out of our family. And there were those that pleaded not to be part of it.
Julie Proud was one of those offered a number representing the passing of a loved one on Rocky Ridge. But Julie refused to participate. The circumstances were too close to reality.
It was about my daughter. My daughter was supposed to have died. She's almost died a lot. And a lot of it's just been fighting to keep her here throughout her life. So it's not something that's easy for me to talk about, because I've sat in hospitals believing she wouldn't come out. She was a gift that Heavenly Father gave me that I thought He was going to take away when she was 6 months. And He gave her back to me. And to pretend that she had died, I couldn't do it. She's here, I'm going to keep her here. And Heavenly Father has let me do that. That was His second gift.
They were going to find a place where, as Joseph Smith said, the devil can't come and dig us out. Their purpose was different. And that purpose, of course, was lofty. In terms of what we see looking back, a marvelous and wonderful thing.
Upon reflection of those who have gathered to Zion by handcart, I can say that they have passed their test. They came close to God through their tribulations, and they have walked the walk of salvation.
Late one afternoon, after the company had made camp, Elizabeth went into the surrounding hills to gather some wood or buffalo chips in her big, full apron. She hoped at least to provide a nice, warm fire for herself and her children. As she walked up a hill, she met a stranger who she assumed was a mountain man. He said, "Are you with the handcart people?" She said, "Yes, I am." He said, "I understand you're hungry." "Oh, we are." He said, "If you'll come with me, I think I can help you." She went just a short distance with him up a little gentle hill, and there was a cave. He walked in, and she followed him. Hanging from the ceiling were long strips of buffalo meat that he had jerkied. He said, "Hold up your apron." She lifted her apron, and he began to heap her apron with meat. He said, "Now take all you can and share it with the people in your camp." The man walked back to the entrance with her. She just went a couple of feet and thought, "Oh my goodness, I didn't even thank him." Elizabeth turned to thank him, but he had vanished. There was no cave in the hill. Elizabeth hurried back to camp, where she shared the jerky with several people and fed her children.
When we were on Rocky Ridge, I felt my grandma's presence there. And I was able to take the cart the rest of the way from the upper monument up to the top of the hill, and then all the way back down the hill. And I just kept thinking, my grandma walked over these ruts. My grandma was here.
Those who gathered their belongings and placed them into handcarts and pulled them 1,000 miles across the plains to Zion, they felt the blessings of the Lord because they obeyed His voice. and of all those who came across the plains, of their sacrifices, their burdens, their attention to duty, we can only say that history will someday write them as the heroes of the Western world.
Ye saints who dwell in Europe's shore, prepare yourselves with many more to leave your own dear native land. For sure God's judgments are at hand. We must cross the raging main before the promised land we gain. Then with the faithful make a start to cross the plains in your handcart. For some will push and some will pull as we go marching up the hill, and merrily on the way we go until we reach the valley-o. As on the roads the carts we pull, 'twould very much surprise the world to see the old and feeble dame thus lend a hand to pull the same. Maidens fair will dance and sing, young men more happy than a king, and children too will laugh and play, their strength increasing day by day. For some will push and some will pull as we go marching up the hill, and merrily on the way we go until we reach the valley.